Okay, so I'd like to introduce you to a technique that I call syntax stealing. This is a way for you to kind of branch out and try new syntax patterns, new sentence structures that you might not have tried otherwise by imitating example sentences that you see in model writing. So we're going to look at an example using thesis statements. So here I've taken a thesis sentence from a sample essay in the Norton Field Guide that we use in English 1301. From an author named Stephanie Huff. And her thesis essentially is, in his sonnet Lift Not the Painted Veil, Shelley addresses the absence of truth through the use of metaphors of grim distortion and radiant incandescence to expose the counterfeit nature of our world. And what I want to do is I want to look at the structure of this sentence and use that syntax to form my own thesis sentence. So I'm going to steal the syntax, not the ideas. The ideas are going to be mine about my subject, just the pattern of the sentence. So if I do that, it might look something like this. In the short story Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, Bierce portrays the character's distorted reality through exaggerated sensory imagery and dreamlike depictions of the passage of time to dramatize his fading consciousness. Now, here with these parts of the sentence, you see that I've introduced the text and the author in the same way that Huff did. Next, I'm going to choose a really good active verb to drive my analysis. She used address, I'm going to use portray. And then, just like her, I'm going to target a couple of specific elements from the text and describe them, leading to my final conclusion in the sentence, which is really going to add depth to my thesis. So by looking at these different elements, you can see how the structure of my sentence is very similar to hers. I've borrowed or stolen it. But the ideas are all mine, and I've put together a thesis about a completely different work, just pushing myself to use a different sentence structure than I might have otherwise. And that's it. That's all syntax stealing is. You can use this for any type of writing move. It's especially useful here for thesis, but it can also be very good for using evidence from a text and looking at the way that different ways that different authors contextualize their evidence from quotes and things like that. So anytime you see a really good sentence in one of your model texts, put that in your notes, mark it down. You might want to come back later and steal its syntax.